Unlike the El Clásico matchup between Barcelona and Real Madrid, El Clásico lived up to the hype. El Clásico truly lived up to the hype. It was fun. It was exciting. It was thrilling from start to finish. I mean, the superstar Chicharito, I mean, he scored like in the early minutes. Chicharito showed up to play, and that is what we as spectators, we as fans, we watching the game. When it comes to a big rivalry, the first thing that comes to our mind after we get through watching is, did it live up to the hype? Was this game worth spending an hour or 2 hours watching? Was it worth it? And if it was worth it, we would not only will we definitely watch the game again the next time it comes around, but we'll also gain more interest in the league. We'll also become more curious about how the league operates and what are the other good teams in the league, if there are any other good teams in the league. So El Trafico, MLS, El Trafico, you lived up to the hype. But the thing that didn't make it a classic, the thing that didn't make this game a classic was the referees. The game lived up to the hype, and it was very close to becoming a classic. But the reason why it wasn't a classic was because of the referees and the offsides rule. Now listen, I know I'm not a soccer purist. I know I haven't been watching traditional football for the past 20 years or the past 50 years or the past 30 years and watching how it operates throughout the world. But one thing I do know is entertainment, and entertainment pertaining to sports. And one thing I do know is that if the referees become a deciding factor of the game, people immediately lose interest. Look, I personally don't understand the offsides rule in soccer to begin with. If you're more knowledgeable about the game than me, please explain the offside rule to me in the comment section. From my understanding, I believe is if the last player is ahead of the ball in the defense, and that's considered an offsides. I believe that's what it is, but like I said, I'm not too knowledgeable about that. So you can let me know in the comment section if you're more knowledgeable about it. But for me as a spectator, me still trying to learn about American soccer and gain more interest in it, I don't like the offsides rule. There's 2 points or 2 parts in the game where Vela scored, and it was the goal was called back. I believe one was a penalty kick, and I think he had another kick in the second half that was called back. But then in the final moments of the game, when LAFC was still down 2-1, and within stoppage time, it was 2 minutes left in stoppage time, LAFC scored. The game was tied. And for a game of such magnitude, a tie would have been fitting. Now, me personally, since I've been watching soccer for 2 years, I don't really like when games end in a tie. I would like to see a winner. But when it comes to this type of game, when you have both global superstars playing and both teams on a collision course with Seattle and Portland for the Western Conference supremacy, it is fitting for this game to end in a tie. Because guess what? They're going to face each other again later on in the season. I believe it's in July. They face each other again. And it's a possibility that they'll face each other for a third time in the playoffs. Because I believe both teams are going to make the playoffs, regardless of the outcome of this game. I still believe that these two teams are going to finish being in the top 5 of the Western Conference on decision day. But the thing that just killed the spirit of the game. When LAFC tied the game in the final 2 minutes of stoppage time, which would have gone down as a historical tie, the referees had to force themselves in the game and review it and say offsides. This is the kind of action that will prevent spectators from becoming fans. Whenever the referee steps in a big, crucial, prestigious rivalry game as this, people lose interest. Now, MLS, I understand that, European soccer is number one, and your rules have to be similar to their rules because, they're the top dog. You're trying to catch up with them. But for the sake of entertainment, just for the sake of entertainment, can we please change the offsides rule? You don't have to take it away fully, but can we make some tweaks to the offsides rule so we won't be spoiled of seeing greatness again? Because you know how injuries go with football, traditional football. These players, they play in so many tournaments. They play so many games. There's so much mileage and stress on the body. It's not guaranteed that we'll see these two play again. It's not guaranteed because I believe both of them have an injury history. Like a lot of soccer players, because it's just so many tournaments, so many games you play, it wears your body out. So the fact that we're able to see two superstar players on the same stage, and it's a possibility that's maybe the only time, hopefully it's not, but it's like you MLS has to play a role in making this epic. Now, MLS, I understand you're a young league. You are brand new to the national stage. This 2020 decade, this decade is for you. We got a World Cup coming up in 2026. So people after this World Cup in 2022, like throughout this year and leading up to 2026, more people will start paying attention to the game, and you will eventually be people will be more familiar with you. So yes, you are still young, and you didn't handle the superstar. You didn't handle the superstar element of this game properly. But that's fine because you're young and you're still learning. But let me give you some advice, MLS. Learn from the NBA. Now look at LeBron James, for example. We all know that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of our generation. Of the millennial generation, LeBron James is the greatest. However, when you watch LeBron James play, especially in his early years, how many times did you see him travel? How many times did you see him carry? Whenever it was time for him to make a super dunk, he always took multiple steps with the ball in the palms of his hand, not even bouncing it. There have been many times throughout LeBron James' career where the referees could have blown the whistle and said travel or carry, but they didn't do it. Why not? Why the NBA didn't do it? It's because LeBron is a superstar, and the superstars is what introduces people to your league. The superstars is what draws people to your league. So superstars, they get treated differently. There is no such thing as parity when it comes to the superstars, because the superstars are the ones that's generating revenue for your league. The superstars is what's causing people to become more excited and more interested in your league. So whenever LeBron James carries the ball or travels, you don't call it. But if you see a guy like Dwight Howard, well, no, not Dwight Howard, because he's also a superstar. I would say just somebody coming off the bench. A regular basketball player coming off the bench. You see him traveling or carry. Yes, you blow the whistle because he's not a superstar. He's not generating big revenue for your league. So you treat him like everybody else. So MLS, even though whether Carlos Vela was offsides or not, you still let the play go. If he scores on the offsides, it's a goal. The only time you call offsides is if he tries to score, but he doesn't score. Then you draw the flag down, offsides. But if he scores and it's offsides, the goal still counts. Why? Because he's a superstar. And when people see superstars performing well, they will continue to watch your league. If you're constantly calling fouls on your superstar, the perception from the spectator is he's not really good. He's always offsides. He's always breaking rules. He's not that good. Why are they always talking about this guy? That's what's going to be the perception. But when you give your superstar players superstar treatment, the perception will be he really is good. A 2-2 draw would have been fitting for this game. Regardless of the fouls, regardless of the offsides, this game should have ended in a 2-2 draw, and the referees should have taken themselves out of the game. The thing that prevented this El Trafico game from becoming a classic was the referees putting themselves in the game, the referees being the face of the game instead of the superstars being the face of the game. The referees wanted to be the superstars in this game instead of letting the superstars blossom. That's why this game wasn't a classic. The positive side of this MLS is that you're young and you're still growing. And you're going to use this as a learning tool. That if we see these two players play again, if we get the chance to see them play again in July, or if we get a real treat to see these two play each other in the playoffs, I mean, my God. We get to see them play again in July, and we get to see them play in the playoffs 3 times. An El Trafico matchup in the playoffs? Oh my God, that would be a treat. If we get the chance to see these two play each other again, whenever that time will be, MLS, let the superstars play. Because MLS, listen, El Trafico is your bread and butter. MLS, El Trafico is your prize jewel. El Trafico is your Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. El Trafico is your Alabama-Auburn rivalry. El Trafico is your North Carolina-Duke rivalry. El Trafico is your Packers-Bears rivalry. El Trafico is your Lakers-Celtics rivalry. El Trafico is your Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. MLS, El Trafico is for you. It's your prize jewel. So when you have 2 superstars healthy and available to play at a time where the mainstream media is broadcasting it, MLS, you have to let the superstars play. You got to let them break the rules. For this particular game, not every game throughout the season. I'm talking about this particular game. Everything goes out the window. New rules are created for this particular game right here. Because this rivalry, MLS, is your moneymaker. This rivalry MLS is your prize jewel. This rivalry MLS is what's gonna draw the fans. This is the rivalry that will turn spectators into fans. And if the referees become the face of this rivalry, instead of spectators turning into fans, they will remain on the fence as spectators.